quantum mechanics as a destructive sect. Friends, I suppose you will be surprised by such an assertion on my part, but unfortunately I understand that it is pure reality. And it is easy to understand, as we will see, but difficult to accept that something similar is happening in the technological world in which we live. But let's analyze a little what a sect is, to understand if quantum mechanics is also one. What every sect tries to do is colonize and empty the minds of its future followers of the capacity for self-defense and their own thinking, and introduce into said minds the guidelines, ordering, and submission necessary to turn the people they capture into zombies incapable of think for themselves, neither logically nor morally, and therefore turn them into insensitive puppets and submissive slaves of their leaders or masters. So to do this, the first thing is to prohibit them from listening and stay away from anyone who can advise them about their new beliefs, and especially from their family members who are the most dangerous and closest to them. That is to say, they empty all critical, logical, moral thinking, etc., that every person has by nature to introduce the indoctrination of it. But of course, quantum mechanics is supposed to be science, and if it wants to behave like a cult it should do the same work, this time on scientists. And does it? Well, yes, this time emptying the essence and nature of every scientist, that is, his ability to think, deduce, understand, and conclude with logical solutions to any scientific event. Any scientist is taught with the use of logic and knowledge of all the elements of his subject, be it mathematics, physics, chemistry, etc. In any science, it is proven how the logical and intelligent assembly of any event is preceded by also logical and intelligent procedures for the assembly and construction of the elements that compose it. To explain it, let's give a simple, visible, and verifiable example. Suppose we have an apple tree at the door of our house, and that we look at it every day when we go out. We can see that when apples are born, they develop day by day, growing, maturing, changing color, etc. And we understand, because we are able to think and deduce from its results, that at every moment the apple is receiving water and minerals from the soil, carbon from the atmosphere, producing cellulose, glucose, and other sugars, increasing its volume, etc. That is, there is a movement, transformation, and continued evolution of each and every one of its biological elements. Of course, this is for a classic scientist or biologist who has the ability to think, deduce, and conclude. But for a quantum scientist, no, for him all the atoms, particles, etc., components of the apple are in a state of quantum superposition, and therefore not in a real, evolutionary, changing and different state at every moment. But why does he say and assert such atrocities? Well, simply because they have emptied or eliminated his ability to think and deduce with logical understanding. Well, the philosophy of QM tells us that quantum principles must always be expressed at every moment without thinking about anything else. Does this remind you of a cult? Well, to me, yes. And do not even dare to doubt, because you will be ostracized and branded as ignorant and lacking intelligence. It is clear that you do not understand quantum mechanics, possibly because you do not have enough intelligence to do so. But how did we get here? Well, as all more or less sectarian organizations usually do, with magic and miracles, with visionaries and their visions that we must believe, and now in science, with manipulated and poorly considered and explained evidence, and of course with lies and historical manipulation, such as all electronics and semiconductor technology is due to quantum mechanics. Really? Who invented transistors? Was it Planck, Bohr, Broglie, Schrödinger? Well, no, the patent was granted to John Bardeen and Walter Brattain, and they did so by replacing the same elements of the old electronic valves, anode, cathode, and grid, with lighter elements such as semiconductors, silicon, germanium, etc., but with the same principles and elements. And if we go to their justifications and physical tests, such as the single and double slit experiment, then what they show us is the opposite of what QM says, and which is based on the following. One slit does not produce interference, and two slits produce interference, therefore the particles are waves. False. One slit produces refractions, two slits produce more refractions, a hole produces refractions, etc. That is to say, and deducing, what occurs when particles pass through a slit or narrow hole are simple reflections or refractions of the luminous particles, or whatever they are, along the edges of the slits, whatever their shape. Furthermore, according to QM, not only can we not think and deduce logically in the atomic world, but also the physical laws are not fulfilled at this level, but neither are the mathematical rules as seen in the drawing, such as for example that a particle can be in several places at the same time, and therefore 1 is equal to 1 plus 1. Well, friends, that's it for the criticism of QM. But as a final piece of advice, I would tell you that if any organization, religion, teaching, etc., tells us that not thinking or analyzing those teachings is a necessary and obligatory principle, it is because they are not such teachings but rather indoctrination and sectarianism. And my final question would be, why do we have to believe and accept what other people tell us, if we see that it lacks logic and consistency? Due to they are very smart, and we are stupid? Well, no, let's think that thinking is healthy. Well, friends, thanks for your interest.